Okay, well, welcome to the Westminster Collection YouTube channel. We are honoured today to be joined by Glyn Davies. And Glyn Davies is an artist and he has had the privilege of designing this portrait, which is the portrait of our new king, King Charles III, for all the British Isles coins. So welcome, Glyn. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Nice to join you.
Yeah, it's great. I don't often get to speak to the people or the person behind some of these portraits and images of coins, so it's a real privilege for me. So I'm really honoured to meet you. I'm going to ask you just a few questions about this because it really is intriguing to me and lots of our collectors. The first one is, obviously you've designed this brand new image of the king. How did that situation come about?
And you've got to keep abreast of current events and possible eventualities. So sort of started to think about this in around about 2021, 22, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so it's plenty of time to put a lot of thought into it. And it's always been at the back of my mind anyway, you know, you're always thinking about, just like maybe Prince William is now, you know, it's just, it's always there. And it's a few little sketches, a few ideas over the years, but yeah, it's nice to eventually get a brief and put something solid down.
How much time did you have once you got the actual brief and put something solid down?
Well, you know, because things move pretty quickly, not as long as you would like, even though it's been there at the back of your mind and you suddenly think, oh right, I've got to get on with this. This needs to be sorted pretty sharply, you know. It's good to have had that time to think about it and to analyse what you've got to do.
What were those things that you'd analyse and you thought, I've got to do that? What bits or what parts were really important?
Well, tend to look at anatomy, lots of reference, chat with Raphael, make sure I'm going down the right path, you know, he a lot of influence and give you a point in the right direction, you know. There's a lot of knowledge there, very talented man, and I just wish I had an ounce of his talent, you know. And he'll tell you straight whether you're not doing it right, which is always good, yeah. And you know, back to my anatomy, back to looking at how Charles has aged, or can you say aged, you know.
I think he has aged. I think he'd be okay with that.
I've had a few occasions where I've actually been able to see him in real life as well, but purely by accident. So I had a good look, close look, probably looked a bit like a stalker. Because he was at my nephew's passing out parade for the RAF, and he was there. So I managed to get a few photos close up. He's a bit smaller than I thought.
Oh, really?
Didn't affect the design on the coin anyway.
No, absolutely. Oh, so you were when everyone else was just looking at the prints then, and you were like, oh, I'm going to need this information at some point.
Yeah, I hope he turns to the side so I can get the right profile.
Did he? Did you get the photo you wanted?
I did, from a few hundred yards, but when I got close up, it's just impossible with the amount of people there, and you know, entertaining, trying to do it anyway.
Right. Oh, I love that story. And so that was the accidental meeting at your nephew's passing out parade.
And then he was in my hometown Narberth a few months ago as well. He popped up here out of the blue and was like, "Oh, another chance." But again, you know, it's like whenever you try to take a photo, it's like the photos my mum used to take of us as children. You know, the head's missing.
The head's missing. Oh dear! And that's the vital part for the portrait.
Off to one side, yeah.
I love this, Glyn. I love these more personal stories about this and how you've designed this. How long did the whole process then, apart from, obviously you had a lot of time to think about it, a couple of years, for when you were given the brief, how long did the process take for you to then come up with this, what is an incredible portrait for the British Isles coinage? How long did that take?
It took about 3 to 6 months. I say 6 months really, because do initial sketches, you know, drawing concept sketches, have Raphael check them, have a look at them, you know, get some feedback, go back, and then some clay sketches, just working out proportions, getting composition right, making sure I'm doing the right side of his head as well, you know.
Because he faces the other way to his mum, obviously.
And yeah, and then deciding whether to do traditional clay and plaster or digital, you know.
Right. Which way did you go?
I went digital, you know.
Right, okay.
Got a clay one here, which, you know, I've had a few goes at. It just wasn't quite getting there.
Right.
Digital one was working, so went with that.
I find that very interesting. So you had to go with the clay, but ended up the digital one was the one you chose.
Yeah. You know, there's more than one iteration of the digital one as well. You know, there's like, you know, you're never truly happy.
Right.
Whatever you've done. So.
Yeah. Have you been obviously an artist all your life, or?
God, yeah. It was the only thing I passed my O levels in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And
Everything else.
that was a passion, or?
I don't think it was. Rugby was my passion, but you couldn't do O level in that.
Oh, no, no, that was true actually. Cricket was my passion growing up. I couldn't do O level on that either. What was your inspiration to? Obviously, you passed O levels, but then what else have you then gone on to before you got on to what you're doing now?
Oh God, I did my. I started off with animation, film, and TV.
Oh wow!
I did that for a fair few years, about 15 years.
Okay. What kind of things?
Mostly children's TV, cartoons, but you know,
Right.
lots of drawing, lots of life drawing. You know.
What was that like?
It was all right until it gets you know, it turns into factory work after a while. If you're drawing 12 drawings for every second, it can be
Wow.
Yeah, not as creative as I thought it was going to be when I first got into it, you know?
Sure.
And because the employment only ever lasted as long as the films were being made, you know, find yourself redundant after 1 or 2 years all the time. So
Right. Okay. And then did you move straight into this kind of area, or was there another stepping stone?
oh, I went back to uni to do a master's in film and video editing.
Right.
So I sort of specialised in news and propaganda.
Okay.
And then there's a few years where I had to look after my mother because she was poorly.
Right.
Ended up doing like AV stuff, you know, working on conferences and things like that, editing videos, live videos in the stadium, which was always entertaining.
Oh wow.
You know, you've got a big screen, you have to replay the highlights. So a bit of pressure, but you know, it was nice to be in the stadium when Wales won.
Okay, yeah, lovely.
Which wasn't too often.
Oh, well, maybe these days more often than England do, I think. But yeah. And after that, you went back into design work and being an artist?
Really didn't know anything about coins. I didn't know you could I didn't know you could do that as a living, you know. And I didn't know that, because I ended up at the Royal Mint, I didn't know that was around the corner from where I lived, you know.
Yeah.
And
how did you end up there, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, the AV work was drying up, you know, and it was less editing and more lugging, staging around, which is not what I wanted to do. So back to drawing, back to life drawing, back to my, you know, roots, I guess.
Bit of passion as well.
Yeah, and then I saw an advert, and that was how I got into the coin design.
What's that like when you first turned up at the Royal Mint, not knowing it was a possibility? And
nerve-wracking. Couldn't understand, you know, like most people naive, they go, you design coins, but surely they're all the same shape all the time. And it's like, just not quite what, you know. It's yeah.
What do you tell those people who say that? Aren't they all the same? How do you explain to them the intricacies, the passion, what that you put into it?
I don't.
What would you tell me if I asked you?
If you asked me now, I'd say, I just take a millimetre off the circumference now and then. I'd just joke. I don't.
I like that.
Yeah. No, I you know, I don't know what to say. You know, I just explain to them what I do, and you know, you get a brief. You know, that's it. You know. And
you obviously you've designed a few coins for the Royal Mint, Sapphire Jubilee, and some of the Tower of London series.
Tower of London, yeah. Gosh, so long ago as well. I don't remember everything, and then I look through my portfolio and go, oh yeah, I did that.
Right.
Yeah. Remembrance coin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Favorite.
Yeah. That's one of your favorites.
Because I was making it the same time of year that my mother passed away, and I was using the poppies that used to grow in her field to design the coin.
Wow.
So it was quite emotional, I guess, and because I'm not very good at this talking thing either, I had to give a presentation on that.
Okay.
And it just wasn't good idea for me to do that.
Not in your comfort zone.
No.
But I imagine that must be very special for you actually to design that coin in that year.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Last couple of questions, Glyn. Thank you for all this information as well. What's the hardest part, do you think, of making a portrait of a new monarch?
Making a new, it was the hardest part with it is just stepping away from it. It's just saying that's finished, because I could keep pushing and pushing, and it's trying to learn as well as you're going on, trying to develop your skills at the same time. So I'm still learning. There's still loads I don't know. Pressure. There's a lot of pressure on to try and get it right as well, because you want to do it justice, not just to King Charles as well, but to everybody else involved. You don't want you don't want to embarrass anybody.
How does that compare to previous pressures, whether it be children's TV or running a live video in a stadium full of 70, 80,000 people?
The live stuff was quite intense. It was not knowing a lot about football when I did those games as well, and having to pick and choose what were highlights and replay them back within 30 seconds is quite intense, but you get used to it,
And how does this pressure compare?
This is worse.
It's worse, is it?
Yeah, you a lot of peer reviews, and anything that's wrong, people can spot it immediately, It's very scary putting your artwork out there for people to judge.
Yeah. Well, I will say again that we've had lots of positive feedback on this, so I think you've done a great job.
Thanks. I tried my best.
No, I think you've done a great job, and lots of already here with the Westminster collection and with our collectors. People are excited to get this new coinage from the British Isles, which of course is really collectible, with the lower mintage levels, from the smaller islands, and the lower edition limits on the more collectible precious metal coins as well. To have the king's head on that you've designed. What's it like if you know that people are going to have this coin in their pockets, or are going to have this coin to pass down to generations, and it's got your design on it?
I'm proud, proud, anxious, for the same reasons as before, But proud.
What advice would you give someone who might be interested to be the next artist for the next monarch? If you were going to be Raphael for someone else, what would you say?
Well, study. Do as much drawing, sculpting as you can. Keep at it. You don't always get favourable feedback on stuff you've done, but it's not always a negative. You have to take it on the chin. You have to take criticism, because if you don't, you won't learn. I've learned that a while ago from stuff I've done before. When you look back at stuff, and you can see valid points that people have made. So, but just stick at it.
Stick at it. And something you also said. You said about stepping back, and also at some point, I'm finished. Almost accepting that, even though you could do more.
Yeah, there's everything I look at. I think I could push that. I could pull that. That could change. That could be a bit lower. That could be higher. Maybe it doesn't look like it should, but it works. So do you, because there's a few moments I've done a few sculptures and they've looked like they're supposed to, and you keep pushing and pushing until eventually you push it away from what it initially was, and then there's no going back when you're in clay, you know, unless you start all over again, which I've done a few times, but you know, yeah, you have to step back sometimes, step back from everything, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And also, you referenced the support that Raphael McLeod gave you. Did he spill any secrets about his sitting with Queen Elizabeth II when he was designing her effigy?
No, he doesn't, but he's very good at that. And, you know, those opportunities don't happen now, you know. It would be lovely to sit there with somebody like King Charles sat in front of you for a few, you know, hours drawing or sculpting, but I just think life is too busy now, you know, for that.
Yeah. Well, you managed to do it with a few photos from a few hundred yards away, so well done.
My best, yeah.
No, it was great. Glyn, thank you very much for your time today. Really do appreciate it. I know how busy you are. And I'm sure lots of our collectors are going to really enjoy hearing from you about what goes into such an incredible portrait.
That's fantastic. Not a problem. Anytime. Hope to speak to you soon.
Yeah, I hope to speak to you again.
Cheers.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.